It's been a long time coming, but I am back, folks, here with another episode review of If Loving You Is Wrong. Psychosis. I actually just sat down and watched the episode, took notes. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm probably being a bit premature by talking about this score right now, but 8.5 out of 10. And you're probably wondering, Jeremy, this episode sucked. It was boring. How come you aren't, this high up on the scores with the haves and the have-nots on the last few episodes of the last season? And I think I've explained this here and there, but If Loving You Is Wrong really never set the bar very high, and I don't want to come across as biased, as in I hold the haves and the have-nots on such a high level that, If Loving You Is Wrong can just skid by on any mistakes. That's not the case at all. It's just the fact that If Loving You Is Wrong, despite how people feel about it, in terms of the acting, character portrayal, the storylines, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like, the haves and the have-nots is Frosted Flakes, whereas If Loving You Is Wrong is the generic Food Line version of Frosted Flakes. Do you see what I'm saying? Where it's really hard not to compare both shows because certain elements of the haves and the have-nots is copied and pasted. It's almost like you copy and paste from your friend, but then change some of the words around. That's kind of what If Loving You Is Wrong is. But at the same time, there's a bit of a charm to it. And maybe I feel like it's an entirely new series for me because for the first time ever, I'm watching and reviewing the show as it's on the air as opposed to binging it. Probably how I'm going to feel about Greenleaf coming this fall, because I do have plans to truly review it each week. But 8.5, guys, I really do feel like this was a decent episode. We pick up where we left off. Tanya's naked and afraid. See that reference? Just, yelling around the neighborhood in the street. I will admit, kind of like that one time where we had Justin interrogating RK when he suspected that RK was trying to drug Jeffrey and rob him. An annoying character who has actually had a moment to shine because we saw them use their powers for good, such as Justin really being a cop to fend off RK, and we have Randall actually being a psychiatrist therapist in order to help Tanya. I like scenes like that, but then boom, he's right back to being a sarcastic asshole, which is his thing. Puts the blanket on her, and there were some details that she said, and maybe I should have took notes on that. I might have to write down everything that was said and then do a video on that. But in any case, she eventually flees back to her house like I don't know, like a supervillain. I just thought of that blanket or whatever and thought of it like a cape. So yeah, new neighbors, right? And basically after that, Natalie actually showed a little Tanya in the episode when you think about it, because Lucian wanted to stay outside and make sure the medics showed up to take care of her. And Natalie was like, well, that's none of your business. We need the professionals. Like, I am a professional. So it's almost like Natalie was being, very cautious of Lucian, of who he should be attached to in terms of, you don't need to help everyone. Just like Tanya is the same with Bennett being a firefighter and whatnot, just saying, hey, you need to just we need to leave these people alone. We don't need this to be like the last neighborhood we were living in where you got involved and stuff. But then it's almost like, why exactly did they move? Was it because Bennett was being too involved with other neighbors with their issues and they got caught up in it? Or did they move because Tanya's, emotional episodes pretty much had them run out of town? Very interesting plots when you think about it that way. Then Bennett shows up, rushes in to help his wife, and Lucia was asking all the right questions, but Natalie didn't like being interrogated. It's like, how do you know he was a firefighter if he wasn't in costume? Well, to be fair, they had just moved in. They only had time for a couple sentence conversation, and he wasn't on the clock. So, I mean, I'm not an expert when it comes to this. I don't believe anyone from, my life, whether it be family or friends, are in the firefighter profession, but I don't believe they wear the full firefighter gear until they're at the firehouse. And even then, they only put on their full gear when a fire is in progress and they jump on the truck. So, yeah. Wouldn't it be something if Bennett worked at the the fire station that Curtis Payne had? That would have been cool. All right, well, anyway, guys, moving on. Eddie arrives being Eddie, and I gotta admit, Eddie probably my favorite character of the episode. This fool had me rolling like what? He's pretty much, you know, throwing dollars around like it's a strip club because, you know, a naked whore running around in the streets. I wanted to see a piece of that. Then goes over to Alex's house. You know, they go back and forth. And guys, if you are new to this channel, typically whenever OWN releases clips or whatnot on their social media, depending on the content of the clip, I do videos on it. So when I actually do my episode review, I don't really talk about those scenes. Like, for example, Alex and Eddie go back and forth. That's really all they do. I did a clip on that already. And Eddie didn't get to pray for Alex like he told Brad he would. So there's that. You know, she talks about how her kids are sick and up in bed, you know, asleep. And I'm thinking, have those kids been asleep for like over a year? I don't think we've seen these kids in I don't know when. And yes, I have seen behind the scenes photos. The kids are alive and well. They will be here this season, but we haven't seen them at all. Then Eddie just pulls an R. Kelly and starts pissing everywhere. And then Randall throws a cup of water his way and pretty much, you know, tells Eddie that based off of Larry's past and what he knows about him, Eddie is done for. Which is kind of interesting because, you know, you take it at face value that Randall's just shooting his mouth off and, you know, just trying to spook Eddie, but it's not working. But then Eddie's going to underestimate Larry, which leads me to think, what if Eddie does decide to, I believe Larry invited him back to his office the next day to meet a familiar acquaintance they have, which is interesting. So Eddie might go just to go, and then that leads to him being in trouble. I could see that happening, especially depending on how the conversation between Esperanza and Larry goes next week, or excuse me, this Tuesday. Then after that, you know, Bennett's trying to get Tanya to take her pills. I believe he said it was, sorry about that. Oh yeah, I'm looking ahead in my notes. Was it lithium? Pretty much because of a mental illness or disease that she apparently inherited from her mother, but I'll get into that later. You know, this scene kind of went on for a little bit. Then Eddie burst in. And also before that, you know, Bennett was talking about the pills. You know, how you've been taking the pills. It really reminds me of Jeffrey talking to Amanda about this back in season 2. Once again, have and have not reference. Eddie burst in, and then Tanya runs to the back. Eddie once again stealing the show, talking about, you need to, you know, gag that hoe of yours, that bitch, you know, take a sock, take a towel, do whatever it takes, because you don't want the police officers in this neighborhood making calls, and don't make me come back over here again. Bennett is just confused as all hell. I don't know what, again, I just don't even know. It was hilarious. So he goes, and that's it. Guys, that was probably my favorite scene. Eddie just stole the show. That's probably why I gave this episode 8.5. This was some good stuff. Lucian and Natalie's talking. Ian calls, pretty much invited to dinner the next night, 6 p.m. Hopefully to see if he helps Kelly. Not much to say there. And again, Lucian, man, this dude, Lucian, it's hard to tell who works harder, Lucian or Justin, in terms of, you know, who was in their uniform longer and who was, you know, out doing their job. But one could argue that, you know, Justin pretty much spends too much time on the whole Jeffrey thing as opposed to doing his job. But back before he got divorced from his wife, you know, he pretty much always stayed at work to avoid going home. But that's another discussion for another day. Yeah, this is pretty much, you know, we're just going to speed through the rest of the episode. Not too much going on. Brad and Marcy wake up. It's officially the next day. Brad says he's going over to Alex's house in order to, you know, get the divorce paper signed. Marcy's talking with Esperanza, recommending that, you know, Larry gets a call from her in order to get some dirt in order to, you know, strong arm Eddie, pretty much to put him in his place. Then after that, well, even before that, you know, Esperanza's asking how in the world did Randall sign the papers, and that leads to the Larry conversation. Marcy calls Larry, pretty much gets the confirmation that the divorce is finalized. Again, I did a video on that already, and, you know, Larry talks about how Randall was been known to be a swinger. Randall's on the phone, and he's just being Randall, calling people, harassing them, trying to find out information. Where the hell is Larry? Is there anything I could do to reverse this divorce because I was tricked? And nothing goes his way, so we pretty much know he goes to the office later on. Alex and Natalie are at the bus stop talking about Justice, so I'm assuming that Justice was on the bus. Were Alex's kids on the bus too? Wait, doesn't Brad typically drive their kids to school and pick them up. So I'm just going to assume it was Natalie's kids that got on the bus. You know, pretty much Alex recounting everything that's happening, and it's just the fact that, look, yeah, Randall's coming over to see the baby. I'm willing to do anything to keep the peace. And you can just tell that Alex is tired with everything, pretty much remorseful for everything she's done. It's just that the backlash of it is really coming back, and that's it, making her exhausted. Bennett shows up. Once again, I did a video on it. Just mainly the whole Natalie warning him about Randall. Bennett explaining the situation with him and his wife, high school sweethearts. She got a mental illness from her mother. And that really, hey guys, I keep saying it. Remember that Amanda had mental illnesses in the haves and the have-nots. And I'm like, is it possible that Catherine also had some form of mental illness, you know, like blacking out and, you know, just having rage moments, like when she shot and killed Jennifer Salison? I think it is possible that kind of thing got passed down from her. Almost like, you know, Jim made reference to the fact that Catherine's father was a raging alcoholic and now their son is as well. Is it possible that Catherine has some kind of mental illness that Amanda inherited? Just saying. I did an entire video on that. I need to put that on the community tab. That is a gem of a video. I know it took like 30-40 minutes to lengthwise. After that, you know, hey, here's my number. Let me know if there's anything that's going on. My wife isn't a threat. Yeah, right. And it's kind of funny. Natalie's talking about, does she have a gun? Even though, you know, Natalie's good for telling people how to get guns, a.k.a. Kelly, getting her in the mess that she's into. Brad arrives with a divorce attorney. I believe he wanted Natalie to be the witness. Long story short, it's a back and forth on Alex not signing the papers. But luckily enough, Natalie is able to give Alex 24 hours. Talk with Ian in order to look over the documentation. So that explains why Ian goes up to Alex that night in the picture. You know, the picture I did saying is Ian the potential father. Probably not. This is probably why he goes over to the house to talk to her. Basically, hey, the papers, let's see them, let's talk. It's like Brad said, it's like after everything she's done, she doesn't deserve the courtesy. I agree to an extent, but this is a very delicate legal process. So unlike Randall, it's kind of, I like how Alex wants to read everything. Justin, when his wife, have-nots here, gave him the paperwork to sign, he signed everything without giving it a second thought, not knowing that it was in only divorce papers. What was it, like a restraining order? You can't see our daughter anymore, pretty much losing any contact with his child. He just gave it all up without thinking about it. Randall got hoodwinked, and Alex is the only one looking in order to check things over. But I think we can all admit that Alex was just trying to stall for time. I'm not saying that she doesn't want to read it, but I think she just doesn't want to go through the process, and that's why she wants 24 hours. So there's that, because Brad is mad, but I doubt Brad would just say like, you know, hey, we're getting a divorce, but you know, you can't see the kids or anything like that. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. So pretty much they leave, and it's kind of funny. Natalie recommended Ian for Alex and then recommended Larry for Esperanza. So I wonder how that's going to turn out. Let's see. Then we get to the last couple scenes here. Lucian arrives and talks with Rick at the hospital, which makes me very nervous about Rick. I'm glad that he was a former security guard, gives more information about the church. I just don't like the fact that he's so open with the fact that he has helpful information. I mean, I get it, it's exposition for the audience to know, but I feel like they're putting a giant target on this man's forehead or whatever, or, you know, like the back of his head, meaning that, is it a possibility that Rick will be killed off because he knows too much, or he's digging around? Like, you know, hey, it's good that he's going to get information for Kelly from the current security guards there. But once again, he described this church like a cult. So I'm just saying there could be moles everywhere. So you might be talking with someone who seems to be on your side, but at the same time might be, you know, tied into the cult itself. So somebody who gives you helpful information might be someone who's a spy, if you will, who goes back to the head of the cult and then, hey, this dude needs to be taken out. So I'm nervous for Rick. And we know he's trying to make up for not taking the situation with Kelly seriously. Once again, I did a video on this clip that was released. You know, Lucian undoes the handcuffs, tells Kelly about Ian, but also the fact that Larry's representing the church. And then from there, hey, I'll go get you some breakfast, which leads to the end of the episode where Kelly is gone. Dun, dun, dun. But before that, we get Larry Esperanza talking. Long story short, in the next episode, Esperanza is going to show up to the office to talk. And Probably aside from Eddie, my favorite, I don't know why, but I just kept laughing when Randall stormed into the office. The way he grabbed the chair and threw it and then beat up Larry. I don't know why, but just the way Randall came into the room and then jerked that chair back. I don't know why that was funny to me. Go back and look at the scene because Own put up the clip on their YouTube channel. I just don't know why, but just the way we see Randall enter the scene and jerk the chair has me going every time. And I'm like, damn, Larry, I almost feel bad because he's still recovering from the Eddie beatdown. So that's probably why he wasn't able to defend himself like that. But, you know, Larry was in his own twisted way. It's like, you know, that marriage was not healthy. You need to let it go. Larry, in a way, was kind of like Lucian to Eddie. It's like, look. You need to let this stuff go. But, you know, Randall being Randall is not going to let it go. And that's going to lead to a self-destruction, which leads back to a very interesting line that Eddie said earlier in the episode. You know, Eddie don't ever die, which is a phrase that pretty much describes Veronica Harrington as well. So with that being said, 8.5, I think is a very fair score for this episode. I did enjoy it. It had a rewatchability factor. I pretty much probably will look at the episode again tomorrow. I think we are definitely planting seeds from some very interesting plot points later on in the season. And I have to admit, I am interested to see where the story is going to go. Who's going to be killed? Where the hell did Kelly go? I mean, then again, I do question the amount of security and the efficiency of law enforcement in Tyler Perry shows, because pretty sure Kelly shouldn't be able to leave like that, especially her being convicted, or excuse me, not convicted, but arrested for killing the son of the family that has a huge cult-like following in the town. So for her to be able to escape a hospital doesn't make a lot of sense. But then again, this is a TV show. But before we end this video, yeah, I gotta say that I do appreciate all the thoughts, prayers, and kind words regarding the passing of my aunt. It is Sunday, 9:30 right now when I'm recording this. I got back to the apartment around 10 o'clock this morning. You know, obviously, as I mentioned in my Have and Have Nots May 7th trailer breakdown, I was going to be away for a while. I made a couple of posts online when I was back at home when things had kind of calmed down. But yeah, pretty much on that side of the family, there is really no one left. You know, my mom is the last sibling standing, so to speak. Then my aunt's oldest son, and you know, we were just rushing to get things together. Quite the hassle. I mean, just to make the comparison, so to speak, it was almost like, you know, whenever I attended the commencements here, you know, in Lynchburg at Liberty University, it's a mess trying to get things together, you know, in terms of finishing up classes, then worrying about the price of everything that takes in regards to commencement, worrying about parking that day. So by the time you actually get to the event, you're too worn out to actually enjoy the moment. When it comes to a funeral, you know, there's all kinds of things you have to get done before. And I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry. Tuesday, that morning she passed, and then Saturday, the funeral. There were so many things, you know, a lot of people were out of town and whatnot, so it was hard to put the program together. But luckily enough, you know, found the pastors and people to do the scriptures and prayers. So luckily, it did come together. You know, expensive process, but it did come together. It was a very nice service, and just glad she isn't suffering anymore from medical stuff she was going through. But yeah, it was something else. We got through it. But yeah, like I said, you know, there was a lot of stuff that had to be done. So today, getting back to some form of normalcy, normality, I don't even know the right word, but just trying to go back to regular life, so to speak, is a bit off. But, you know, my mom was like, you know, hey, you've been here, you know, so long. Not to mention a week before, I was at home from Wednesday to Saturday. If you remember, I went on those trips with my nephew. And then I went on a solo trip to the Patrick Henry place in Brook Neal. So at those moments, I didn't have a mic. That was like, you know, downtime, family time, vacation. Then this week, you know, last week, you know what happened with my aunt. So that was another situation. Mike stayed home. So now I'm in the process of getting back to bringing in some money instead of spending money, if you will. So, you know, videos, I'm doing those now. Tonight, you know, this episode review and my trailer breakdown for Of Loving You Is Wrong. They're both going up tonight. And I've already made a list of everything that needs to get done. I do have a list of branch off videos, if you will, from the May 7th Have and Have Not trailer. There are a lot of breakdown videos I can do from that. But I think that, and I'm just saying for myself, in terms of the work, I think that was probably my favorite breakdown that I've ever done, just because I did it a bit differently than before. Instead of just doing a play-by-play in terms of, okay, this scene, this scene, this scene, basically recapping the trailer as it played, I decided to take an extra 45 minutes and organize the screenshots and then try to make a good estimation of what's going to happen. I think that really turned out well. And mind you, this was the same night I found out the news about my auntie that morning, and I'm like, I know if I leave, I'm going to be gone for a while, but let me do at least one big video before I do. That way, when I'm not posting on the channel, I at least know that there are views coming in, meaning that there's money coming in so I can pay bills. And thank goodness, as of right now, the video itself has only been up for maybe 4.5 or 5 days, and it's over 30,000 hits. So thank you all so much for that. It really does mean a lot. And yeah, so we are getting back on this train here, and hopefully no funerals for a long while. I told my mom, look, no. I just told everybody, look, let's not go through this anytime soon. It's been enough. And, in a joking fashion, it's kind of like, dang, it's almost like, you're too broke to die because things are so expensive when it comes to funerals. Dang, it's just like college. Light humor there. But in any case, guys, I'm going to try to get things back on track one step at a time. I do have some good videos planned, and the things that are, the numbers are looking up. I like that the numbers are looking up for the channel. So hopefully we do hit 75,000 subscribers before the end of the month here, so we can get another giveaway going. But as I said before, thank you all so much, and yeah, we can go from there. But as always, be sure to check out the social media links in the description below. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you know how to hit me up there. If you want to donate anything to the channel, by all means, click on the PayPal link down below. And if you don't want to fund anything, if you don't have any money to give, that's completely fine. Do me another favor, hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. Share this video around, give it a thumbs up. That means a lot to me as well. So once again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And, knock on wood, fingers crossed, nothing happens anytime soon over the next week or so. That way my episode reviews can be up in a timely manner. So once again, thanks so much for the kind words. And over the next 24 hours or so, I'll get back on the ball with posting more videos, uploading more pictures and all the Instagram, my Facebook stuff, and I'll talk to you soon. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. If you like what you just saw, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, or if you have anything you would like to add to the video, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to keep up with me on social media, go to the description box. All of my links for social media are right there. Also, if you feel like you would like to donate to the channel, make sure to click on the link to PayPal. Any amount helps. $1, $5, $20. As a full-time YouTuber, any support from my fans really does mean a lot to me. Finally, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you're kept up to date on any new content I post to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next video.